Hello and welcome to the Jefferson My Drinks Fantasy Podcast, the pod on a mission to normalise 8-team leagues. Happy New Year, everyone. We are back after several weeks off. We are back and we are all back together again. I'm happy to welcome Ian Harrison and Helen Monk. Good day.
Good day.
Good
Good
day.
day.
I don't know whether are we really is anyone saying Happy New Year at this point in the month? It's a bit late
I
for that,
mean,
isn't it?
it's now. We are now into the second week of January, so
Yeah, well
know.
into it.
I mean,
Yeah.
at some point, I'll take my Christmas decorations down.
I can't imagine you ever had Christmas decorations up. I see you as a more Scrooge type figure who doesn't celebrate Christmas.
I love Christmas.
Doesn't
I
celebrate
really do love Christmas.
Or it all depends on whether the Bengals make the playoffs or not. If the Bengals make the playoffs, I'll celebrate till my heart's content. But
Yeah.
if they don't make the playoffs, no celebrating in this house.
Oh, well, the Bengals not making the playoffs was post Christmas, so it kind of ruined my New Year. But
I think we all knew.
I've got a 2-year-old, so Christmas is amazing.
I think we all knew the Bengals weren't making the playoffs from week one. That was the game that we said it months ago. Like that was the game that was going to come back to haunt them, and as it turns out, it was the game that haunted them and the Patriots. So
yeah, we started off going, there's no way the Bengals can start 0-2 again this year. They got the Patriots.
Yeah, get your money on that in 2025.
Bengals starting 0-2.
One team that is in that. So Happy New Year, everybody. I'm going to say it again. We're back. So several weeks. One of the things, Christmas does cause a problem with trying to record a podcast on a weekly basis when we've all got families. So apologies for anyone who's been missing us over the last few weeks. But we thought we'd hit record for tonight and do a bit of a season review. We'll quickly talk about the Wildcard weekend. We'll go into our JMD and JTT Fantasy League, and then we'll do a bit of a review on certain players and things like that to wrap up the hour. So one team that is in the playoffs and is still in the playoffs, H's Texans.
Yeah, I know it was a bit of a surprise. I think defensively we were amazing. I mean, 4 turnovers to a guy who's 4 interceptions on a guy that's only thrown 3 in the season. To do that's quite impressive. I know Herbert didn't have the best of games, but he also had a lot of drop passes, which helped us. Offensively, we were poor.
God bless Quentin Johnston.
I don't know why they keep going to him on crucial third downs.
Well, no. To be fair, he caught one of them. It was an amazing tackle by Sting. So, but I mean, yeah, it took us. The defense kept us in the game for 28 minutes, and then the offense finally clicked, and it seemed to us kind of start from CJ Stroud having a bit of a moment on a fumble, and I think you sent me the message, Pete, saying that is the Stroud of like last year with his what happened kind of after it, and then it just seemed to click from there. So yeah, big win. Go to Arrowhead now, and I think that's going to be a fun game. So yeah.
At least they keep putting you first, so you can watch the game without staying up too late, right?
Yeah, it's just the standard, isn't it? If the Texans are in the playoffs, they are the first game on Saturday. That has literally been the whole of the Texans' history in the playoffs, which is just madness. So, but yeah, it is what it is. We'll take it.
I still think you've got a chance this week as well. I mean, the Chiefs out of those 3, if you were going to go to one of them, I think I'd probably pick the Chiefs. Chance you might catch them a bit cold. Yeah. Rather than going to Buffalo or Baltimore.
We played really well against the Bills earlier on in the year, but they have absolutely been flying in the last few weeks. And I mean, Allen and Lamar, both MVP. Like it's between them who's MVP on the season, so you don't really want to play them, but then you also don't want to play the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. So I think we're going in as 8-point underdogs at the moment, and you can understand why. But as sort of everyone says, if you're not in it, you can't win. So
I can't really understand why, because the Chiefs won't be getting more than 30 points. So you must stay within 8 points of 20.
Eight's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
I don't see it being a blowout.
I'd be lumping on that.
Yeah, I don't see it being a blowout.
I'd be taking the Texans to stay within 8 points of the Chiefs. I mean, now I've said it. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to score 45 because I've said it. But there's a point I wanted to bring up, to be fair, and Pete kind of alluded to it just then. It's like the Chiefs obviously rested everyone against the Broncos last game of the season. Firstly, I have no issue with it. No issue at all with it. Don't blame them whatsoever for doing that. If we're depending on the Chiefs to part our full strength squad when they've already made or when they've already secured the first seed, it's not the Chiefs' fault that we're not in the playoffs. It's that game against the Patriots where we fumbled a punt, or it's Evan McPherson missing two field goals throughout the season, whatever. It's not on the Chiefs. However, the fact that they've now not played actual football for 2 weeks could swing game in your favour.
I did think about this because they've not had, I think their starters, or I think at least Mahomes hasn't played for something like 21 days going into the game against the Texans. But I did see a report that they've been doing full padded sessions and apparently just carrying on hitting each other. So I don't think any Andy Reid.
There's not a chance Patrick Mahomes has taken a hit in practice in the last 3 weeks.
Well, no, not Mahomes, but like the O-line and D-line are battling it out, and like full padded sessions. It's
not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same, but I also don't see any Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes side that doesn't turn up. I think it's going to be a tough game. I didn't think we'd beat the Chargers. We did. I don't think we'll beat the Chiefs. But like I said, you got to be in it, and you got to be. We've got to play well no matter what. And I think you said it on when we went out on Sunday. We're only 2 games from the Super Bowl now, so we can hope, we can dream.
2 good games, yeah.
And we can be massively disappointed, but it happens.
You just got to start quicker. You won't get the opportunity to start. I mean, it was basically one half of football. If you start that badly at Arrowhead, you're not going to be back. You're not going to come back into that game. So
I think one of the things. So I don't know if anyone's seen the reports as we've started, but we waived Deontay Johnson today.
I did see.
I've seen it. It made me laugh.
So there was a couple of things that have come out off the back of this. So the Texans, if you watch Deontay Johnson's highlights against the Chargers, he runs some absolutely.
Before you crack on, you said highlights plural, as in there was more.
Yeah, than one. Yeah. So he had the one catch, but a lot of his routes were put on like a thing, and it was like, why CJ Stroud not finding Johnson here? And it turns out Deontay Johnson was just running whatever he wanted. He didn't know the playbook, and he was just running random routes. And basically, that's what he was doing. Didn't know the playbook, and he also was apparently upset he only had one target and kicked off whilst the rest of the team was celebrating. So,
all right. So let me get this straight. So not only did he not know the playbook, he then kicked off about not receiving passes because he was running the wrong routes.
Yeah. So when Stroud's not finding him, it's because he's just running random routes, and Stroud's going, "What are you doing?" But it doesn't look like that.
Is anyone
even surprised anymore? No, but if you watch his routes look outstanding, and he seems to find the right space and things like that. It's just because he was making it up. Apparently.
There's a gap. I'll just run there.
Apparently, that is pretty much what was happening, and obviously with kicking off in the dressing room, and then doing this whole running whatever route he wanted, and that's why he's been cut. But I said to Pete,
what makes me laugh about this is that when you signed him, he had to put out this whole statement because he'd just been released by the Panthers. The Ravens released him. He put out this statement like, I've only ever played for the team. Everything I do is for the team. I was like, you've just been released for refusing to come on the field for a play. And now he's kicking off because he only got one snap in a playoff game that the Texans won.
Yeah. One target, not one snap.
Sorry, one target in a game that the Texans won. And you're like,
just ran.
You are currently playing playoff football. You don't know the playbook. You're running the wrong routes. And now you want to sit here and rock the boat while we're all trying to celebrate and prepare for the next game. See you later.
Yeah. Well, what's happened? D'Amico said "ta-ra," and he said, "We'll do it without you." So, but I was just going to say that
you did do it without him.
He's going to struggle to get a team next season.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty much unemployable now.
You can't keep burning your bridges with everybody.
They'll go back to Tomlin and the Steelers, won't they?
I mean, there's got to be a team out there that is renowned for taking idiot receivers. The Dolphins. Let's just say the Dolphins. He'll probably end up there. Tyreek Hill will go because Tyreek Hill has said he's going to go. And they'll replace him with Deontay Johnson.
He said he's staying now, hasn't he? He said it. He said he's staying, and the Dolphins know how much he's loved and how much he loves the organisation, and he's going to be staying there now.
All right, fair enough. Then. I don't think he will.
No, I don't. I don't. It could be Jalen Waddle season for you, Pete.
I'm not sure about that. He'd have to. It doesn't matter whether Tyreek Hill's there or not. He still has to stay on the field, stay healthy. We can't. There wasn't an awful lot to talk about in terms of drama. I didn't think this weekend. It was pretty all of the games ended up pretty one-sided, didn't they? There wasn't any really good finishes, even though some of them went the way the bookies or the experts just necessarily didn't expect. But we can't move on without talking about the Steelers. So
you mean we can't move on without you talking about the Steelers?
We can't move on without somebody reminding you that I said this would happen 6 months ago when we talked about when we did the previews. I said the Steelers will go 10-7 and get smashed in the wildcard weekend, and then they'll be back to square one because they've got no quarterback, they've got no running back, and they've got they've got whatever they're going to end up with, the 20th seed in the draft. So I was like, they're just they're just going around on this little merry-go-round where they end up 10-7, get knocked out in the playoffs. They're not really a contender, and then they move on again, and they just do exactly the same thing next season. It's ridiculous.
I would love to see the odds on Sam Darnold to the Steelers, because I don't know if you saw Kevin O'Connell's interview this morning. It will have been this morning, yeah, where he said he's got so much respect for Sam, but it's just not worked out. I'm like, Steelers. That has got Steelers written all over it.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's going to be so many teams looking for a quarterback this year. Like, Aaron Rodgers will go to the Jets. The Titans will need someone. Derek Carr looks pretty finished, and Spencer Rattler doesn't look great. The New Orleans Saints might be in for one.
I can't believe he said Derek Carr doesn't look good.
He doesn't.
Maybe playing NFL, but
aesthetically, I'm sure he looks great.
Yeah.
But then also, like, someone's going to have to go for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Do they have to?
Well, I think
he had a bad season.
Kirk Cousins could look all right at the Steelers, but then he could also go to one of those teams that I've just mentioned. But I think the Steelers should just give it to Justin Fields next year and see what he can do.
But if I was Justin Fields, I'd be like, I'm not, I was doing okay, and you ditched me to the bench. I know he's come out and said he'd like to stay, but I'm not buying it.
I think what's amazing.
I get he's supposed to be learning from Russ, but what's he learned?
Come on, no.
What's he learned?
I think his interview when he got benched, his interview was brilliant because he came out and you could tell he's one of those where he's probably been media trained and everything like that. But he said, I've not been playing good. I've not been playing well enough to keep my starting place. And I was like, you're 3-1, I think they were, or 4-1 when Wilson stepped back in. I was like, you're playing very well. And
he took
I didn't understand. Yeah, he did. I would have kicked off. Like, if you got the job and you've done absolutely nothing wrong, you should be playing.
No.
I just want to say really quickly, the Rams are the teams to watch out for in the playoffs because they were amazing last night. That young sort of defensive core that they've got was outstanding. I think they got 9 sacks last night, which is just ridiculous. So I have a sneaky feeling
they're not going into Philadelphia and winning. No chance.
It's okay. I mean, there's all 4 games. Like I think they're really good games to watch, but the Rams are 8-2 since Nakua and Cup have been back. So it just proved that their start was, down to the fact that they
was any of those 8 games in Philadelphia. So
yeah, 1.
No, having it. They're not going to go into Philadelphia and win. I think the Eagles are too strong. But I do like the Rams. I wasn't sure. Like I was sort of went back and forth yesterday on my Rams Vikings prediction because I'd picked the Rams before the weekend, and then I was like, oh, they've had to move. And then when you saw Stafford afterwards, and he was like, we did it for the people of LA and their families, and I was like, this was a given, really. If I had thought about it that way around, as opposed to thinking, oh, all the preparation's been mixed up and all that sort of stuff, maybe I would have thought of it differently.
Yeah, it's a shame the Chargers didn't take that same attitude.
Yeah.
Chargers like screw the people. Forget him.
I don't think anyone in LA cares about the Chargers. That's part of the problem. So
yeah,
it's part of the problem as a franchise. Right. So we need to wrap up the JMD and JTT leagues. So I've already done this in the leagues, but we thought we'll have a quick review of it. So the Brady League was won by Never Dull in Hull, the number 2 seed, beat Renedsha Speed, who was the number 1 seed going in. So congratulations to Never Dull in Hull. They won the Brady division. Congratulations to Team 89 Monday, who, as the 4th seed, came into the playoffs, won their way through to the final, and then beat Team Suarez Power in the Elway division. So congratulations to Team 89 Monday. In my division, in the Manning division, it was Team Mungry Pablo, who smashed Can't Buy a Win, who went on a great run after he renamed his team Can't Buy a Win, went on a great run, made the playoffs, absolutely smashed the team in the semi-finals of the playoffs, and then it all came crumbling down in week 16. So just one hurdle too far. So congratulations to Team Mungry Pablo. And then finally, the Merino division was dominated by 2 teams pretty much from start to finish. And it was Dynasty Cowboys as the number 1 seed who beat Team Dynasty Island in the championship game. And last but not least, our Champions League was between 2 teams who were both in their championship division or division championships. Both lost their division championships, but Renedsha Speed did score higher than Team Suarez Power to win the Champions League version of our Dynasty Championship. So there is a trophy on its way to Renedsha Speed for that. Everybody who won their division has been paid out. The 2025 entry fee is open now. So if you want to, I think a few teams have already committed. If you want to do that, you can do. We are holding off on first round picks, I think, until you've confirmed, in terms of trading first round picks, until you've confirmed you're going to play for next year and paid in, which is just to protect the charity and protect the competition. And that's about it, I think. I might do a bit of a review in a couple of months once I've got a little bit of time and review the season, go back on it. But then, like I say, I'll put a deadline as the end of March for confirming you're going to pay and play in 2025, which just gives us time to replace any teams that we need to. And then once the NFL draft is done, we'll start putting the rookie drafts in place and we'll go again.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Good work.
Yeah, it was good. It's been good. I think quite a lot of people have enjoyed it. We've obviously raised quite a lot of money for the charity. I don't know if you've ever used Team Stake, but getting the money out of Team Stake and to Matt in the charity is causing an issue. But the money will be donated imminently. So I'm talking to Matt about that and getting the money out of Team Stake. But Yeah, it's been fun. It's been good. Obviously, this is the first season. We're hoping to grow it and build it as the years go by. But hopefully, everyone's enjoyed it. And like I say, I think half a dozen teams have already paid their subs for next year. So even more money going to a really worthwhile charity. So we will continue with this into 2025. Although the thought of doing all that prep and looking at rookie drafts at the moment is like way off my agenda. It's like I feel like I need 4-week break from actually. I quite enjoy talking about it. I just don't want to manage any of my teams right now. I just want them to sit frozen until we get to the end of the Super Bowl, and then maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Just while we're talking rookie, the college final is this Saturday, and it's Ohio State versus Notre Dame. And just for anyone, I'll go fantasy football on this. There's a few players that could very, very easily be drafted. So the Buckeyes have got Will Howard, their quarterback, the two running backs, Judkins and Henderson, and the player that I am really, really high on, who the more I watch him, the more higher I am on him, is Mika Ibuka, the wide receiver. But as we know, I do love a good Ohio State wide receiver. And then there's a few on the Notre Dame side as well. The running back, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, so I apologise. But there's a running back that could potentially be going. But from kind of what I've watched and what I've seen, there's this running back group may be one of the best we've had for a long while, which means it's probably going to be absolutely tragic because I've said that. But yeah, there is a lot of running backs that have potential to sort of be very good, solid NFL players.
Cool.
But yeah, watch the college final. If you don't want to watch it, at least record it because it is on Sky Sports. I don't know if I can say that.
Is it on Saturday, did you say?
I think it's either Saturday or Sunday morning. But yeah.
Same time as
No,
it's not at the same time as the NFL games.
It's not H. Hang on.
Is it the Friday? I've got it recorded, one minute.
Yeah, I think it's on a Wednesday.
We're all over the place. Nobody knows.
No, it's Wednesday morning, 22nd of Jan, 12:30 in the morning.
So Tuesday night.
Yeah.
On Monday at 7 p.m. Oh, sorry. No, that's college football live. My bad. Yeah. 12 o'clock on Tuesday it is. You're absolutely right. My bad, everyone.
He's going to tune. He's going to tune in on Saturday and be like, "Oh, it's not the game."
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm going to have to watch Texans now instead. Oh God.
Yeah. No, but it will be a good game anyway. Both teams have played really well in the playoffs, so it's well worth a watch.
Well, while we're we're not really on the subject of charity leagues anymore because H has changed it to rookies to keep an eye on in 2025.
My bad.
But, while we were talking about charity leagues, I just wanted to give a shout out to Murph and his FFCC. I managed to finish third overall out of whatever that was, 300 people, which really upset me because in the third place playoff, I scored more than both teams that were in the final. So had I just managed to get there, I would have been all right. But I fell 14, 15 points short in the semi-finals. So that was a bit disappointing. But I know he raised a lot of money this year. I think it's 6 or 7 grand he's raised this year for a really good charity. So fair play to him as well. And everybody.
While we're on Murph, like the amount of leagues he runs as well privately.
Yeah.
Like the effort he puts into contributing to the fantasy community is just unbelievable.
Yeah, they're good fun. If you haven't played in any of his leagues, you should get involved next year because he just asks for small charitable donations like 5, 6, 7 quid, and that he does there's just different types of leagues that'll just be a bit different from what you currently play in. And I think not just him, but there must have been 6 or 7 charity best balls that we were involved in across the season, and obviously we didn't win any of them. Otherwise, we'd be here shouting about how we dominated. But I know H, you came very close in one, and I think you came very close in another one, Ian. So, but there's a lot of people raising a lot of money for good charities, and I look forward to playing in all of those best balls and various competitions next year because when you having a bit of fun, especially across the summer, just gives you, everybody something to connect on, have a bit of fun with, and obviously it raises money for good causes.
Yeah. I mean, we should give them all. We should give them all a shout, really, because obviously there's the JTT Cup. It all goes to charity. JTT Cup, which we partner with for our own Dynasty Trophy. There's Warrior Bowl. There's Argyle Bowl. There's the Orney Bowl.
THFFBB.
Yeah, THFFBB. Yeah. You came close in that one, didn't you, H?
Yeah, I finished third overall score, but I got knocked out in the quarterfinals. It's really cool, the format, because even if you're knocked out in the playoffs, you can still potentially win overall. I finished third. I think I was like 5-6 points behind first place. But it was a cool thing, and I listened to their podcast as well, because they do their podcast. They have some really cool features, so it's well worth going and listen to those guys as well.
Okay, cool. Nice one.
Yeah, definitely. So before we move on, we've got a couple of minutes left in this quarter. Are you pleased with your seasons in general?
Yeah.
This is the first year that we've all had. I mean, we've had multiple leagues before, but I'm using it in capital letters. This is the first year we had multiple leagues, and I think we've all learned something. Probably that we were in too many leagues, and or at least me and H have had that conversation. I think Ian's ready for more. But
I won't say that.
Are you happy with your overall performances?
I've been beyond happy. I won 8 out of 25. Like redraft and dynasty leagues, which I think was pretty amazing. I've got a heck of a lot of work to do in a couple of dynasty ones if I'm going to do them. But yeah, no, I've been kind of weirdly happy with a lot of my later picks, which I think we're probably going to come on to in the next section. A couple of players where I thought they'd be okay, but I didn't think stepped up massively. But overall, brilliant. I've enjoyed it. Just too many.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same as H. I didn't win as many as H. I won 5 out of 20 something, 24, 25.
So
I'm happy with that. I won 2 of our home leagues in one of our groups. I didn't lose a single game in one of our leagues. Oh, I did lose one game, but beat the median. That's the way. I made the playoffs in Scott Fish. Got knocked out immediately, but I made the playoffs.
Which is an achievement.
Which is a big achievement for my first year. And finished 7th in the Warrior Bowl, which, doesn't sound great, but there were 600 people in that tournament.
Yeah.
So
that was a great achievement.
I'm happy with that.
Nice.
What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got 7 dynasty leagues, and I made the playoffs in 6 of them, and I was just like, and then didn't win any of them. So I was a bit like, well, I think that's a good season. I don't know. I was like, one of them really annoyed me, because I was like, I think one of the ones we're in together in the Dynasty Warriors, I was top scorer and just kept getting done on the matchup. So I was top scorer, ended up going in as the 3rd seed, so didn't get one of the buys, because it's a 10-team league, so you need the top 2 get a bye. And then ended up getting beat by this just freak massive score in the first round of the playoffs. So you kind of looking at it going, I was the top scorer. I should have had a bye. I shouldn't have had to play this week. But then it swings and roundabouts. There was other times where I've come through and won. So I won a couple of redrafts, which helped the coffers for next year's entry fees. But I think on the whole, when I look back on it, I mean, I lost the Super Bowl in my most important league, which I'm gutted about, because that's 3 times I've made the Super Bowl and I've still not won the thing in 9 years. So I am a little bit gutted about that. But
you also lost that to your brother.
Yeah, I don't know whether that makes it better or worse, to be honest. So I think it makes it worse that I've got to get the trophy over to Wales. So that's a 4-hour return journey I've got to do at some point in the next couple of weeks. Whereas if I lost it to one of you two, at least it'll only take me 20 minutes to drop it at your house. So
I mean, it's only going to see your brother. Like, you could make it into a bit of a thing.
I should make a little bit more effort anyway. But no, I think
just hold on to it till draft night.
I think some of the season didn't end as well as I wanted it to in certain leagues, but I had a lot of fun along the way, and I think I've learned a lot this year in quite a few leagues. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a break, but then I'm looking forward to coming back next year. Right, so we thought we'd use the last half an hour to talk about some things that surprised us. And this was more H's idea. And I'm not exactly, H never really said whether we were surprised in a good way or surprised in a bad way. So I've taken it a little bit of both.
I've done both as well. So
right, okay. So we thought we'd spend the first 15 minutes talking about vets, and then we'll spend the last 15 minutes just quickly talking about some rookies, which we'll probably do another episode where we really dive deep into dynasty rookie drafts from last year and things like that. I think it's quite interesting to go back and look at who took what and what players were where and all that sort of stuff. But Ian, do you want to kick us off with someone who's surprised you in terms of their overall position and overall ranking?
Yeah, the first one that I noticed really was Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, same on my list.
Finished as QB3 on the year, which that's a massive shock, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't remember if we did or not. Did we do like a preseason predict top 10?
We didn't this year, no, because
we did last year. But I don't think there'd have been many people that would have had Baker as a top 5. He probably would have made most people's top 10s.
I don't know whether he would have done.
No one would have him at 3.
No one was drafting him, so that would suggest that. Well, I don't remember anyone drafting him, especially not in our leagues. So that would suggest that he wasn't expected to be top 10. I think the one when I looked at Baker Mayfield and talking quarterbacks, you also see Sam Darnold on that list at 8. And I don't know, did you see that picture that was doing the rounds? Or somebody had sort of tweeted the picture of them both in Panthers uniforms, and he'd sort of going, "This was 2 years ago," and it's like so like when you think that they're both quarterbacks who, and we'll get into Anthony Richardson in a few weeks, and we'll talk about the draft and all that sort of stuff. But it does make you think when you see them two now having such a good year that actually maybe we just need to be a little bit more patient with rookies coming in, and especially quarterbacks, and giving them the time to sit and learn and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Baker was at the Panthers, there was that picture that did the rounds of him taking reps on D-line.
Yeah,
and like he's obviously gone to the Bucs, and he's found somewhere where he's got a coach who's going to put his arm around him, give him a bit of cuddle, tell him what he needs to hear, and then let him crack on. But he's just not. I don't think he's had that kind of support until now.
Yeah, he's found his place. I was just going to say,
yeah,
I think he's just found a franchise that fits him, and I think that's sometimes it's just about the fit in it, and if you can find that.
I think it has proved though. Like, I think a lot of teams now are looking at rookie quarterbacks and thinking they're going to be, NFL ready, and you look back to one of the best to ever do it in Peyton Manning. He was shocking for his first few years. His interception record was one of the worst rookie performances ever, and he turned out as one of the best. And I think a lot of the time you just need a bit of time to sort of. I think with Baker as well, like he refound like his confidence. He's sort of. I don't know. He clearly lost something with the Browns because he played well in his rookie year, and then it just seemed to go to part. But he's found it, even like you say, Pete. He's found a home with the Bucs, and he's playing some really good football. I've enjoyed watching him this year.
What about? I'm going to try and move this on pretty quickly. What about running back wise? Anyone surprise you when you look down the list?
Two for me is Chase Brown and Chuba Hubbard. I think they were 10 and 12. They were the biggest surprises in terms of positive.
Chuba finished at 15. He was consistently in the top 10 this year, which was a surprise.
Yeah.
But he picked up an injury towards the back end of the season, didn't he? So
so it just dropped a bit.
The
thing that I noticed when you look at the top 10 running backs up until you get to Chase Brown, it's about as I mean, it would be interesting. I mean, it's a shame we didn't do that exercise at the beginning of the year. But those top 9, you kind of look at them and go, "Yeah, I probably would have called 7 of those." Like they don't stand out as names that have sort of surprised or shocked. There's no rookies in there. It's like it's been. Whereas when you look at the wide receivers, there's all over the place. The names in there, apart from some of the really big names, there are quite a few surprises. There's not that many surprises from a running back point of view, at least not anyway.
No, I think Kyron Williams did well to finish as RB9 after starting the season as the punt returner.
Yes, if only someone had been here to tell you that he would be fine. So I tell you, the one
you've got to be disappointed in Breece Hall.
Yeah, he was the one I was going to say when I think he's the only one he's the only one. I'd have to go back and look at the first couple of rounds of draft picks last year, but he's the only running back in there that's really, really disappointed, I think, this year.
There's another one. He plays for your team.
Jonathan Taylor had a good year in the end.
Did he finish 12 in the end or something like that?
I don't know. Well, when I've been looking at the NFL app, I've got Jonathan Taylor as running back 18.
Yeah, but that's not bad.
Right, I'm going off fantasy points based on PPR scoring, which is most of our leagues.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it cuts off when the season finishes on terms of the points, but according to mine, he finished as RB18 in our league.
Yeah, but even at running back 18, I don't think he would have been he wasn't expected to be that much higher than that. He might have been expected to be top 12.
I would have had it higher than top
Richardson. 10. Yeah, but the thing with Jonathan Taylor is he finished the year well as well. He had peaks and troughs, but I wouldn't be too disappointed. Breece Hall was 2nd or 3rd running back off the board in most leagues, and he's finished at running back 17. That's an absolute disaster. And I don't even know, to be honest, having had him in several leagues and watched him, I don't know how he's managed to finish as high up at 17 because it felt like he never really had a good game.
But speaking of disasters, what round approximately were you taking ETN at this year?
I didn't. I did say this in the first few weeks. I said I don't know what it is about ETN this year. I can't draft him, and I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't. Don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was just I had a really weird gut feeling 2 years ago, but that one worked out well. And like I said, I did not pick him up at all this time. And that worked out well.
Be interesting to see what they do next year. Just before we move on to wide receivers, he didn't finish the season because he has had a few injuries, which is what he does. But I think J.K. Dobbins deserves a shout because I wrote him off in the summer and I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And the closer we got to the start of the season, I think I picked him up in a couple of last minute best balls and stuff because I was like, you never know. And he had some monster weeks this year. And to not play all the games and finish his running back 24 was a great achievement. So he's found himself again, which I thought his career was over. Wide receivers, there's a lot of names in the top 20 that you can pick it as a bit of a surprise, I think.
I think I'm going to start with Jerry Jeudy.
Yes, he was on the list. Did not see that coming at all.
And it's all down. Deshaun Watson proved yet again what a waste of money he is. And Jameis Winston comes in and just spams Jerry Jeudy.
He's rumoured to be out for the full season next year, so spend a bit of money on
unbelievable
Winston.
scenes. I love it.
Are they going to go?
Well, to be fair, where they're drafting, I'd as you say, Pete, you might as well take a swing because you never know.
Yeah.
Because what they took?
Or go and get Sam Darnold. Go and get Kirk Cousins. Go and get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will fit right in at the Browns. Aaron Rodgers.
Surely they can't have the cap space for it.
Beautiful. I'd love to see that.
What, Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers at the Browns. Oh, I'd love that.
Right, I'm moving this on from quarterbacks. Let's go back to the wide receivers.
You're right. The Browns are at 2.
Yeah.
So it's the Titans and then the Browns.
I'll be taking my chances. Even if I go to the second round, there's probably a quarterback coming out that's going to land in the second round at that point. That would be worth stopping on.
Yeah.
The Browns are going to end up with Russell Wilson.
Right, I'm moving it on for quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about two.
We might have to do a whole
Ohio State receivers now.
There's a lot to talk about quarterbacks. Go on, who's the name you want to mention?
Two Ohio State wide receivers. I was high on them both, and they both. Well, one of them's had a breakout year, and the other's just proven that he is ridiculously solid. JSN and Terry McLaurin. On the stats that I looked at, it was 7 and 8, but I'm assuming you two are going to tell me that's wrong. But yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I've always loved him, and he had a great year this year. Yeah, and then Terry McLaurin, I think it was 2 years ago, you two slated me when I said I'd take him as my wide receiver 3 on the team. It turns out it was a season early, but yeah, he's had a monster year.
I think I did that.
No, I agree. Like last year in one of our main dynasty games, I've got Terry McLaurin, and last year I couldn't get anyone to take him off my hands. I tried trading him away to pretty much every person in the league, and no one wanted him. And I'm happy now. Yeah.
But yeah, JSN's finally hit where we expected him to hit.
Yeah, I was so.
Should I say?
I was so tempted at the start of this season to cut him from my dynasty team, and I can't remember who I cut instead. It might have been Mostert. Even after the back of him having a monster year, I thought, A-Chan's are going to probably get more opportunity, and I kept JSN like as my 4th or 5th wide receiver, and he turns out to be my wide receiver 2/3 of the season. So yeah, I was happy with that one.
Yeah. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Cortland Sutton at 14 because I don't think anyone saw that coming either. So I know he's not top 10, but he's just behind. I don't think anyone saw Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton being top 15 wide receivers in fantasy at the start of the year. So it's funny how these things work out in the end. Have we got just enough time to mention a couple of tight ends? I think we can't do this segment without mentioning Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a monster second half of the season. Number 4 overall. That's a great performance.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, no one would have had that.
No.
All I'm going to say is Art Smith is an offensive genius. I don't know why we slagged him off all last year because he was actually playing the right tight end. If anything, he underused him.
I think if you speak to any Steelers fan, they will disagree with the statement that Art Smith is a genius. But then with the tight ends, there's a shock with Travis Kelce, finished outside the top 3 for the first time since his rookie season.
Yeah.
Only the second time in his career that he's not been a top 3 tight end.
It's got to come to an end at some point, though, hasn't it?
Told you he was finished.
Any younger.
He's not finished.
He's not finished. He's only 26.
In terms of people not getting any younger, though, and surprising us, Zach Ertz coming in at tight end 7 on the year is. I mean, I don't really remember that happening. I don't know whether I just wasn't up against him, and I definitely didn't have him in any teams. But I knew he was scoring the odd few points. I didn't realize he was scoring that many points.
He's had a good year.
Well, here's the thing with the tight ends: you don't actually need to score that many points to be a top 10 tight end. Sure. Like I was looking at the stats before, and Brandon Aubrey and Chris Boswell, with the points they scored, would have put them in at tight end number 5, above Kelsey Andrews, Laporta, Freiermuth, Kraft, and everyone else.
Brandon Aubrey's a superstar, though. So
yeah, but Chris Boswell is tight end 5. So here's a question. I know we're going to run over on this quarter now, but here's a question for next year's draft. If you're on the clock in a later round and 5 or 6 tight ends have gone, are you just going to pivot and take Brandon Aubrey early?
No, yeah, I'm taking Brandon Aubrey first round. He's the most reliable player in fantasy football until you get to the championship and he scores 1 point. I think the thing is with tight ends is I get what you're saying about the scoring, but I always think there's one or two that come from nowhere. So it's like you're always gonna sort of gamble and draft. And Jonnu Smith's a prime example of, yes, there's probably only going to be 5 or 6 that are really worth owning across the year, but you don't necessarily know who those 5 or 6 are going to be at the start of the year. So it's probably the most disappointing position.
I always, as we know, I draft my tight ends late 95% of the time. Tight end number 8 this year, and we play obviously 18 leagues because we're on a mission to normalise 18 leagues. Tight end number 8 this year on ADP was George Kittle, and I picked up Kittle in a ridiculous amount of leagues this year, and he's tight end 1 on the season. So
no, he isn't.
I understand.
He's
tight end 2,
3.
3. 3. Oh yeah, Trey McBride.
Don't you be robbing my Brad Bowers? Don't you dare!
Yeah, no, I know. No, but like he's finished way higher than not way higher, but higher than his ADP. So that tight end 8 pick is actually a really good pick. Ian, you can hit the button whenever you want, mate.
We need.
we need HVAC on the button.
That button doesn't make any listening. If you're watching, it's great, but we need a little jingle or something that goes with it for next season. That's your challenge, Ian, to get us a little JMD jingle. Right, so we're going to spend the last 15 minutes or whatever time we've got left talking about the rookies and sort of surprise, but I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to start with tight ends because I want Ian, because Ian's about his rookie tight end. So we might as well just give him 5 minutes, and then we can move on and talk about other things.
Oh, what a guy! And anyone who knows me and anyone who's listened to this pod like regularly will know that Brad Bowers was my most drafted player this season, and I'm so happy about that because he finished as tight one. There was 2 players I was drafting consistently. One was Brock Bowers and the other was DeAndre Swift. So over the course of those 2 players, it probably balanced out.
Yeah. Yeah, in the end.
No, Bowers was amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. He's in an awful team, an awful offense. They lost their best offensive player at the time. And he stepped up massively. And yeah, absolute freak of nature.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think he's going to have the Sam Laporta second year drop off?
Potentially, but I don't think he's going to drop. I mean, Sam Laporta went from tight end 1 to tight end 8 and 9 of the year. Not the worst. Yeah, it's not the world's worst drop off. I don't think Brock Bowers will, though. I think he's sort of solidified himself as the number 1 target there. And if you're going in there with whoever the new head coach is, if you're not utilizing, to be fair, both tight ends, because we saw once Michael Mayer came back from his personal issues, that he's actually a really reliable target as well. So 2 tight end combos could be a thing there. Obviously, you throw in Mayers, and there's something to work with, but I don't see the drop off being huge for him now. I think he's reliable.
I don't think he has the drop off, and I think the big difference is, and I haven't got the stats to hand because I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but I think Sam Laporta's was driven by touchdowns. Off from memory, I don't think he got to 900 yards. I don't think he had that many catches. It was all, I think he got double-figure touchdowns, whereas Brock Bowers, I mean, hasn't had that level of touchdowns, and what did he get? 110 catches on the year. It's like he's the new Travis Kelce for me. He's gonna, because he's the number, and he's done it. You haven't even got a quarterback issue because it's like he had terrible quarterback play all year. So it's like he's done it with terrible quarterbacks in a team where he's not scoring that many touchdowns. It's like you can. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Kelce and dominate for the next 6-7 years, but he's done it in the same way that Kelce did it, in being like the number 1 for that team. And I can't see that changing unless they come up with some proper wide receiver superstar out of the draft, which is clearly not going to be their focus. because they've got other needs. I think he will be their number one target for the next few years. And if you can get a tight end who's number one target, then that's. Before we move on to anyone else, quick question for H. Going back to Ian drafting Brock Bowers. So just before our dynasty rookie draft in our main dynasty league last year, Ian wasn't very well and went on a trade marathon where he basically he traded out of the number one pick, and then I think he might have even traded out of the first round at one point and then came back in. He was basically trading with anybody who would listen to him. But the trade that got him Brock Bowers in the end, I'm going to read back to you and I want you to tell me who won that trade. So there's a couple of picks. So I'll give you, basically, he ended up with Bowers and Swift.
Yes, and Gibbs.
Obviously.
And he's given up Gibbs and Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
So who wins that trade?
I think it's a really even trade.
Yeah,
Gibbs is a superstar. Bowers is a superstar. The other two, I mean, I don't think we've seen the best of Ndunes this year. I said at the start of the year I thought he would end up as the wide receiver one there, and it's not worked. I mean, he's had games where he's had 10 targets, but I don't.
I think it was Roma Dunze anyway. The only place I think you may have lost slightly, and we'll never know, is I don't think everybody else in the league was that high on Brock Bowers. So you moved up from 7 or 8, whatever. I think it was 8. You moved up from 8 to 4, and then ended up picking Bowers. And I think you might have got him at 8.
I don't think if I got him at 8, I might have got him at 6, but I knew at 8 that I wouldn't get him. When I took him at 4, I admitted to all of you that it was a reach to take Bowers at 4, and I didn't want him that high.
I think you might. Well, we'll never know. But it's interesting. Sometimes I think it's interesting. I go back and look at my trades, and I don't think I win any of them. So I just want to look at one of yours instead. Right, other rookies, quarterbacks. I mean, Jaden Daniels has, I think, outperformed what most people thought he would at 5. But for me, Bo Nix at 7.
Nix as well, yeah. 2 rookies in the top 10.
Bo Nix has been the revelation. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No. I mean, his stats this year are ridiculous. So he's got 3,775 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, which you can moan at, but that's good for a rookie. And then 430 rushing yards with 4 TDs. That's some good stats there. And he's completely changed a franchise that didn't look like it was kind of going anywhere. Same with Daniels. I mean, them two, the Broncos and the Commanders were laughing stocks, and now you look at them and go, that's a serious team of the future. So both of them. But I think Bo Nix is probably the biggest surprise of them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pleased for the people of Denver. It's been
because you got family over there, haven't you?
Yeah, they never stood a chance against the Bills at the weekend. But I think just making the playoffs was an achievement for the Broncos this year, and then they've got some. Like you say, I think when you've got a rookie quarterback like that, you've got something to build on. So the future is bright. Do you
think Jerry Jeudy wish he stayed?
Possibly. He's not getting. To be fair though, isn't Jerry Jeudy a Pro Bowler? I'm sure I read that Jerry Jeudy made the Pro Bowl, and he's not getting that at the Broncos. So
yeah, fair enough.
And off the back of all of that spamming from Jameis Winston, he's probably in line for some sort of contract that'll keep him going for a few years. There wasn't a lot of rookie running backs this year, was there?
No, well, the big one really was Jonathan Brooks, wasn't it? And he got injured and pretty much sat the entire season out. I do want to mention Tyrone Tracy, though. I think he looks like he's one to keep an eye on. I know he only finished as RB27, but Devin Singletary was RB1 to begin the year with. Took Devin Singletary to get injured, for Tracy to get a proper shot, and he looks decent.
I think what helps him as well is his hands are really good. So he was a part-time wide receiver in college, part-time running back. Started as a wide receiver, then went to running back. So some of his, I think he had that catch in maybe the last game of the season where you just go, that's a wide receiver catch. So I think he's got something to build on there. And then I think the obvious one's Bucky as well, isn't it? At the Bucks, he RB15. I've got him as, I don't know what the actual final one was, but on the one I checked, he was RB15. He completely took over the backfield for the Bucks as well by the end of the year, which was a little bit of a surprise as well. But yeah, good season for him.
12 is impressive, but when you consider the fact that, like you say, coming to the season, he wasn't first choice and not for several weeks. It's like he's had a really strong second half, 2/3 of the season. It's like he's going to be, and he looks like a superstar to me. I think Tyron Tracy, I'm not as sure about, but Bucky Irving looks like, I mean, he's going top 8, I reckon, running backs next year in fantasy drafts. Would not surprise me if he was a top 8 pick. Just can't see a drop off from him. I think he's won that job, and they're gonna keep rolling with him. Which brings us on to wide receivers, and it was supposed to be a good draft for wide receivers, and it turns out it was a pretty good draft for wide receivers, at least some of them anyway.
Yeah, those LSU boys, and so just on LSU receivers, 4 of the top 6 came from LSU. So Jefferson, Chase, and then obviously the 2 rookies in Neighbors and Thomas Jr. They just churn out receivers, fun, don't they?
So
some players.
This is, I mean, I haven't gone back to check because me and Ian did I don't think you were on H, but we must have been when you were on holiday at the end of August. We did a bold predictions episode, and one of my bold predictions was Brian Thomas being a top 2 rookie wide receiver, and he ended up as, I mean, depending on whether you include Brock Bowers in that category, he ended up as the number 1 in terms of rookie wide receivers, which I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Apart from you.
Well, no, I thought he'd be top 2. I didn't think he'd be the number 1.
He's phenomenal. I think, again, you look at the stats on these 2, 1,200 yards, both of them. I think Thomas had 10 touchdowns, 7 for Neighbors, but Neighbors obviously got peppered with over 100 targets. Amazing. And you put a proper
Neighbors did it with Dan Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock.
You put a proper quarterback with him next year. That could be a scary prospect.
We talk about rookies in terms of Bowers, Thomas, and Neighbors. Bowers has finished as the tight end 1. Neighbors and Thomas were both top 6 wide receivers, and there isn't. I mean, I still believe in Trevor Lawrence, but he wasn't there for half of the season. So they've all had suspect wide quarterback play, and all done it with, like, Brian Thomas finished the season stronger than he had any other point, and he didn't have Trevor Lawrence there at that point. So they've all done it without having top quarterback play. So they all look like they're going to be stars of the future.
The one that I wanted to mention was Ladd.
I knew it.
I was waiting for that.
I was high on Ladd McConkey, and still am. And I mean, put 190 yards up against us on Saturday. So, but yeah, no, Ladd McConkey was class this year as well. I think he finished wide receiver 12. I had him when I've done my, but obviously I'm looking at the wrong thing. So he probably not 12.
15.
Making numbers up, aren't you?
Honestly, like, go on the NFL app, and it told me that he's wide receiver 12 on the year. But I don't know if it's including, like,
that was your first problem, was going on the NFL app.
Go to sleep.
You did. To be fair, and I think Ian would agree, and has already mentioned it. Like, you did call Ladd McConkey, and we were skeptical across the summer, and he's turned out you were bang on with that. He's been really good. We'll finish on Marvin Harrison then, who, for reference, H has finished as wide receiver 29, And I've got him in a couple of dynasty leagues, and I've gone back and forth over the last couple of weeks in terms of how I'm feeling about him. And I don't think you can get away from the fact that it was a little bit of a disappointing rookie season. But part of it, I wonder whether it's the disappointment is because these other guys have done so well, as opposed to actually he's had a bad season.
I think when he got drafted, though, he was drafted so high. And I mean, in college, he was literally a freak of nature. He got double teamed more than anyone and still put over 1,000 yards each and every sort of season that he played. And I know we're going to touch on rookies in the future, and I'll give up some stats on some of that. But I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 players this year in college that have put up 1,000 yards. Like he was doing it, being double teamed. I'm massively underwhelmed by him. I was obviously fell for the trap of drafting him quite high in a couple of dynasty leagues, and I expected him to be the one that is up there with Chase Jefferson, and it's just not worked out. But in all honesty, I think Kyler left a few passes out there for him as well, and there's a few.
I watched a lot more of the Cardinals than anybody really should, and if there's one thing you notice is they're not on the same page at all. So, and I don't know. Yeah. I'm never going to claim that I know enough about it to work out where the problem is, but I can't tell you whether that's on Kyler or that's on Marv. I'm guessing it's probably a little bit on both of them, but they weren't in sync, or it's like he didn't quite know the route or whatever. It wasn't right at all.
But I think there's the whole separation stats. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's separation to the defenders. He's right up there with some of the other ones we mentioned. Another one that's worth mentioning and keeping your eye out for next year is probably Purcell, who seemed to have 2 kind of really good games at the end of the year. And granted, there's no Ayuk, or Debo's injured or playing part running back, but he's proven enough there. And if you look at those separation stats with him, he separates from his defender quite a lot as well. It's going to be interesting to see some of the ones that develop from year 1 to 2. And I think me and you were probably on the same wavelength there, where we've picked up Marvin in a few leagues. Like we kind of want him to like really push on next year.
Big year for him next year now.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say to you, as you obviously have him in a few leagues, and anyone listening who's got him in, if you haven't seen the comparison going around to his dad's rookie season, absolutely mental. It's
so close,
identical in terms of catches. It's like they're 2 out in terms of receptions. They're about 5 yards out in terms of receiving yards, and they're exactly the same on touchdowns. And
it's ridiculous.
So what you're saying is just don't panic.
Yeah, his dad went on to have an okay career, so and I think that's the one thing.
Who's his dad again?
He was called Harrison Summer. The one thing with Marvin Harrison is you would expect, because of the family that he comes from and everything else, that they are going to be working hard on the off season and making sure that he's ready for next year, as opposed to him being one of these players who just thinks I've made it. I'm a first round pick and all that sort of stuff, and it's somebody else's problem. You get the impression his dad will be like, right, get back out in the garden and let's work on what you were doing wrong or whatever. So we'll see. Anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, it's good to be back.
Yeah, enjoyed that. I'm assuming we'll all be sitting down and watching the divisional round this week. The best weekend of the year, if you ask me.
I will. I am in work on Sunday night, so whether I get a chance to or not.
Right. Everyone keep their hobs off in the greater Manchester area from about 8 o'clock on Sunday.
Keep your cats indoors.
Fires. No random fires, please. Ian wants to watch the Bills and Ravens.
No random fires. Keep your cats indoors.
Yeah.
Stay away from water.
If the cats go out, they can wait till Monday morning. That'll be fine. So,
yeah.
What time do you clock off? 8 o'clock.
8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, just ring it 9:25 if your cat's gone missing. Leave it Or at least wait until the Bills Ravens is
You
finished.
can do it at 25 past 8. I'll have the overtime. It's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Right. As always, keep an eye on our socials. Not that we're updating it at the moment because we haven't got a lot to update it with, but I'm sure we'll put something on there at JMD Pod. We'd really appreciate if everyone could like and subscribe on the YouTube page as we try and grow this again even further in 2025. So we do appreciate the support that we've had from everyone listening and everyone watching. So we will see you next time.